I'm going to make a bold claim and say that Painkiller by Judas Priest is a 10 out of 10 album. So let me explain. Back when I was getting into metal music, when I was a teenager, I was exposed to a lot of Judas Priest, mostly through Headbangers Ball and the radio. I remember Headbangers Ball used to play the music video for Breaking the Law, and at the time, I didn't really get into the band that much. I knew a lot of their songs, but it wasn't until they released a music video for the lead single Painkiller that I started to really like this band. I remember I went out, I bought the album, I only bought it on cassette for some reason. I used to listen to it all the time. I thought it was a perfect album, and it was a shame because it was the beginning of the 90s, and after that I got into grunge and rock. The argument on why I believe it's a perfect album. First we'll take a look at my vinyl record, and I bought this later on. That cassette I was talking about, I lost it over the years. I bought this when I started getting back into vinyl records, and I was into the different vinyl community channels, and I bought a cheap record player, and then I bought this album, which was the first one I picked because this was the one album I wanted to own. So this was actually like the first vinyl record I bought when I started to buy vinyl again. So as you can see, it's a very important album for me. But now I want to talk about why it's a perfect album. I think for starters, it's both a return to form and a reinvention. So around this time, Judas Priest had just released the more commercial, synthesizer-heavy albums like Turbo in 1986 and the somewhat uneven Ram It Down from 1988. But they had another thing coming, and I'm sorry I couldn't resist that pun, but they released Painkiller. This was a full throttle return to the band's heavy metal roots. It wasn't just a rehash, it was a complete reinvention, pushing their sound into the realm of speed and power metal, a move that proved they were not only relevant, but still capable of competing with the younger, more aggressive thrash bands of the era. Another major factor was the recruitment of drummer Scott Travis, formerly of the band Racer X. This was a game changer. His ferocious, virtuosic drumming, characterized by his relentless double kick work, provided the album with a new level of energy and technicality. The opening drum solo on the title track is a declaration of this new sound and a statement of intent. Another reason is the fact that Rob Halford was at his peak vocally. He delivered one of the most powerful and dynamic vocal performances on Painkiller. His screams are sharper, his high-pitched falsettos are more piercing, and his overall delivery is more aggressive than ever before. He sounded like a man reborn, ready to take on the world. His vocals are a key component of this new album's intensity, but Rob Halford wasn't the only one who was at his peak. The twin guitar attack of Glenn Tipton and K.K. Downing was also at its peak on this record. The riffs are fast, complex, full of memorable hooks, while their guitar solos are a masterclass in technicality and melody. The album showcases their ability to blend shredding and sweeping arpeggios with classic blues-based lead work, creating a sound that's both modern and distinctly Judas Priest. But even though the performances were top-notch, it had great songs, and you probably think most albums will have a few weaker tracks, but I don't think this applies here. Many fans and critics agree that Painkiller is a rare example of a truly all-killer, no-filler album. Each track from the title track to Hell Patrol, All Guns Blazing, Nightcrawler, and the epic One Shot of Glory stand on its own as a powerful metal anthem. The album maintains a high level of intensity and quality from start to finish with no weak links. Even the slower, more menacing track, A Touch of Evil, is a standout, showing the band's ability to craft a heavy song without relying solely on speed. But one of the real questions we have to ask is, how did the album influence the metal genre in general? Painkiller had a profound and lasting impact on the metal scene. It's often cited as a major influence on power metal, with bands like Primal Fear and Gamma Ray directly channeling its sound. The album's blend of classic heavy metal with speed and power metal elements created a blueprint that countless bands would follow, solidifying Judas Priest's status as innovators. So now I want to talk about how certain songs were influential on the metal scene. I won't talk about all of them, but I will pick a few key tracks. I guess I'll start with the most obvious one because this is the reason I got into the band and I bought the album. It was the title track. It's a landmark track in heavy metal history. Its influence goes far beyond just its parent album. It was a stylistic turning point for the band and a catalyst for change in the broader metal landscape. Painkiller wasn't a thrash metal song, but it was a direct response to the energy and aggression that bands like Metallica and Slayer had brought to the forefront. The song took the more traditional Judas Priest sound, the twin guitar harmonies and Rob Halford's operatic vocals, and injected it with a new level of velocity and ferocity. The song's breakneck speed, driven by relentless double bass drumming from the new drummer Scott Travis, became a template for the burgeoning power metal genre. Bands that followed, particularly in Europe, emulated this combination of speed, technical proficiency, and melodic high-pitched vocals. The song is a technical showcase for all members. Scott Travis's drum intro is iconic, instantly announcing the song's album shift in direction. The dual guitar work of Glenn Tipton and K.K. Downing is a masterclass in blistering yet melodic soloing. This raised the bar for what was expected of a metal band's performance. By the late 1980s, Judas Priest was a veteran band. Some critics and fans felt they had lost their edge with albums like Turbo. The metal scene had moved on to thrash and other more aggressive subgenres. Painkiller was the band's statement that they were not only still relevant, but they could out-heavy the younger bands who had been influenced by them in the first place. While most of the praise for Painkiller rightfully goes to the title track and its blistering speed, A Touch of Evil stands out as a unique and influential song for a different reason. It showcased Judas Priest's ability to be heavy and menacing without relying on a breakneck pace. Its musical elements helped shape a different corner of the metal world. The haunting keyboard intro and subtle layers throughout the song were used to build a sense of dread and evil, perfectly matching the song's title and lyrical themes of black magic and demonic possession. This use of keyboards as a tool for atmosphere rather than pop melody had a significant impact on subgenres that were emerging at the time, particularly progressive and gothic metal. Bands in these genres will later use keyboards to create a sense of scale, mood, and theatricality, a path that Judas Priest helped to pave with this track. Touch of Evil is also a song that is built on a slow grinding riff and a deliberate pounding rhythm. This demonstrated that a song didn't have to be fast to be heavy or evil. The song's oppressive, slow burn feel is what makes it so effective. This mid-tempo, riff-heavy approach, combined with the epic and menacing atmosphere, became a key influence on bands that prioritize groove and move over sheer speed. It showed how to build tension and power through a slower, more deliberate structure, a technique that would be heavily utilized in later decades by bands and genres, everything from doom to industrial metal. Finally, there is One Shot at Glory, the final track. It's a powerful and fitting closer that, while perhaps not widely cited as the title track, holds a significant influence on one specific segment of heavy metal, and that is the heroic and epic side of power metal. The song is a masterclass in building a powerful anthemic finale. The intro battle hymn, with its dramatic sweeping synth and guitar harmonies, immediately establishes a sense of grand scale and cinematic drama. This segues perfectly into One Shot at Glory, which maintains a feeling of triumph and heroism. The track builds to a powerful, fist-pumping chorus and a blazing guitar solo. It feels like the culmination of an epic journey. The structure, starting with an atmospheric intro and building to a powerful climax, became a staple for countless power metal bands. Lyrically, One Shot at Glory is an unapologetic war anthem. It speaks of courage, battle, and the desire for eternal glory. This kind of heroic, fantasy-based, or historical war theme, particularly when combined with fast melodic guitar work, the song provided a perfect blueprint for bands who wanted to write about grand battles, mythical warriors, and the noble struggle for victory. It's a direct link between the classic heavy metal themes of the 70s and 80s and the more elaborate storytelling of power metal. The song's main riff is the galloping driving force that perfectly complements the lyrical theme of a marching army. This rhythmic feel, driven by Scott Travis's precise drumming and the dual guitar attack, became a key characteristic of power metal. Furthermore, the song showcases a perfect blend of aggressive riffing and soaring melodic guitar solos. This dual approach, being both heavy and melodic, was a key takeaway for many aspiring power metal guitarists. The solo section in particular, with its clean, harmonized lead lines, is pure distillation of the Judas Priest sound, elevated by the Painkiller album's newfound speed. So let me know in the comments, what do you think of Judas Priest Painkiller? Is it a perfect album? Or do you think it has some flaws, or maybe you like some of the other ones better? That is all. Check out my previous video on Damn It Down, which is the album before it. Thanks for watching. Please like this video. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you have not already. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.